Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, July 17th, and I'm your host, Krista McDonald. They say music is a universal language. It can make you happy when you're sad and bring you up when you're down. It can even bring people together when they least expect it. One young man learned this earlier this week. Brian Boudreau tells us more.
With everything that's going on today, it's refreshing to discover a feel-good story that'll bring music to your ears. Recently, a customer came into Remarkable Cleanouts and asked if he could play a piano that was for sale. He played a few songs, entertained the staff and the fellow customers. After his set, the masked man went on his way. He was recorded on a cell phone, and when Remarkable Cleanouts owner Mark Waters saw the clip, he was impressed and wanted to contact the mystery player.
I didn't think much of it until it started coming back, because I seen the clip and I seen the excitement that it got. But when it started getting the views, it went chaos. I mean, this is kind of crazy. I'd much rather be working than doing all these interviews.
WBZ reporter and Norwood native Julie McDonald explains how she heard of the story.
So a friend of the business sent me a message the other day and said, you got to see this kid playing the piano. He's incredible, and they really want to find him. So I got in touch with Mark, and he said, come on down. I'll tell you about what happened over the weekend, and you got to help us try to find this piano player.
The mystery piano player is John Capron of Mattapan. Here's Capron's response when asked why he decided to play the piano at Remarkable.
I think every time I see a piano and it comes up my way, I always have to get my hands ready, and then I just get ready to play keys. It's just muscle memory to me at this point. It was really funny because I would never have found out had social media not have been as vast as it is today. My girlfriend sent a text saying the social media is looking for you. I was just why are the social media looking for me? And it's really confusing.
Capron couldn't believe when he heard that Waters had decided to give him the piano.
I just really didn't know that I affected people as I did. I thought I've done this before where I've played piano. People are oh, you're a really great player, so and so. But today it blew up on a vast scale.
This story is everywhere, and I think it just goes to show how hungry all of us are for positive stories about generosity and kindness and just positive good news. We all want it so bad that, that's, I think, explains why so many different outlets took such an interest in this story. I had no idea that it would get this big. I thought, this is a fun, nice story that I can share about my town and a really cool business in my town. And then it's just exploded today.
There is one more special part to this story. The man was playing a piano that was for sale for $200, but Mark had another surprise.
And see if you like this piano a little better.
You know how much Steinways usually cost.
Don't worry about the cost, baby. It's
older
yours.
Models.
That's what life's all about. Bring a little joy into this gentleman's life, and there's so much tension in the world today. I mean, you can see it coming in here. I mean, it's just one of those things that feels good in the heart. Why can't we all just get along? It's unbelievable.
Well, there you have it. A remarkable story here at Remarkable Cleanouts. For Norwood News, I'm Brian Boudreau.
Thank you, Brian, and congratulations, John. Your story truly reminds us to never stop believing. It's amazing how this one moment in Norwood was reported by every Boston TV station and on a national level featured on Good Morning America and in Newsweek magazine. Stay tuned after this break for some more town news.
Do you want to stay up to date with Norwood Community Media? Then subscribe to our weekly NCM newsletter. Every Friday, our promotions department publishes an online newsletter that highlights the work of NCM and the latest happenings. It includes the full episode of Norwood News, recent clips from NCM programs, behind-the-scenes photos, and so much more. NCM works hard to deliver a steady stream of Norwood content, and this newsletter is another way to stay connected to Norwood. To receive the newsletter, just visit www.norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click the Sign Up for our newsletter button, and enter some basic information. You'll then be added to our newsletter mailing list. It's all here on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Welcome back. The June 28th storm has caused $3 million of damage throughout the town of Norwood. The town has established a flood damage remediation grant program to provide assistance to income-eligible homeowners that have suffered property damage. Here is Town Manager Tony Mazzucco with the details.
Hey folks, General Manager Tony Mazzucco coming to you with some updates on the June 28th storm. As many of you are aware, the storm on June 28th caused a lot of residential and commercial damage as well as damage to the hospital. We estimate over $1.5 million in residential damage, about the same amount for commercial and nonprofit buildings that were damaged, and of course the hospital suffered tens of millions of dollars worth of damage and will be down for some time. In response to this, we've established a resident grant program for emergency assistance to residents impacted by the flood damage on June 28th. You can go to our website and fill out an application. Residents may be eligible for up to $5,000 towards costs of repair or rebuilding damage from the flood. The program is income-based at first, but will expand to other users as we have funds available. We've established this $500,000 grant program through town funds only. We're hopeful that one day state or federal funds will come in, but as of right now, we are on our own with this one. So please go onto our website, check the information out on the grant program, and we encourage everyone, even if you're not sure if you qualify, to submit a grant as we continue to look for more resources to assist residents. This week, teams have been out visiting homes and assessing storm damage and completing applications for individuals. So I'm appreciative of all the volunteers who have been doing that. And we know that as we move forward, it's going to be tough to recover from this, but we know we'll be able to do it.
The town will be recovering and feeling the effects of the June 28th storm for a long time. However, for some good news, here is Mark Ryan, Director of Public Works and Town Engineer, with a story on how some precautions saved the town and a popular Norwood restaurant from a lot of damage.
And I'm standing in the rear door of 171 Manhattan Street, which everyone knows is the old Colonial Cafe. Now, some of you might not know the old Colonial Cafe building is actually a town-owned piece of property that we lease out, and in this case it's the old Colonial Cafe is the tenant here. So for many years we've had issues with flooding at the rear of the old Colonial Cafe. Mainly because two reasons. It's kind of in a hollow. We're a low point that, during torrential rains it could flood, and it has flooded in the past. And other reasons is that the town drain systems are old and probably not adequate to handle some of these intense rainfalls we're having lately. We have done things though to safeguard some of our buildings, and this is one example here at the rear of the old Colonial Cafe. After a number of instances of flooding back in 2015, we came up with a solution of installing a flood-proof door. It was just one of those things where we had to come up with a solution that was reasonable and effective. And we found a company that deals directly with flood-proofing buildings. These sometimes you see some massive floods in the Midwest or down south, and a lot of these buildings are protected by materials and equipment that are just like this door here. So back in 2015, this door cost $10,000 just to purchase. And it seemed like a lot of money, but since that time, it's protected this building from any of this flooding. On June 28th, during that rain event, that water was up to this window here, 50 inches deep. If this particular door was not here, this whole bottom floor, which includes storage of food, the kitchen down here, so many items, you're talking over a $20,000 loss if this door wasn't in place. So this is a success story. It works. And one of the things we're going to be looking at is going over to the Civic, the rear, same scenario. They're in a hollow. intense rainstorms. It could get flooded, and it did on June 28th. So much so that the gym was flooded out, and a pickup truck was overwhelmed and flooded, and probably will have to be totaled. So a success story here, and we hope to do the same thing at the Civic and get the same results. If we put that door in, we will get the same results. It's proof right here, 50 inches of water, not a drop got in.
Thanks, Mark. That is a great example of the town spending some money to save some money. Norwood-based Moderna Therapeutics is in the news again for its advances towards a COVID-19 vaccine. Reported in the Boston Globe, the messenger RNA, or mRNA company, has shown very promising results during its phase 2 testing and is looking to begin phase 3 on July 27th. The phase 3 trial of the Moderna vaccine will enroll up to 30,000 adults at high risk of contracting the coronavirus. Half will get an injection containing 100 micrograms of the vaccine and the same dosage 28 days later. The other half will get a placebo. The website lists 87 trial locations around the United States, including one in Massachusetts at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. Many of the locations are states where COVID-19 cases have surged in recent weeks, including Florida and Texas. We will continue to update you on Moderna's advances towards a COVID-19 vaccine. Governor Baker announced last week that Massachusetts would be entering phase 3 of the reopening plan. Health Director Sigal Reese breaks down what that means for businesses moving forward.
We have moved on to phase 3, step 1 in the governor's reopening plan. We don't know how many steps there will be in phase 3, but we won't move on to phase 4 until we have a vaccine or some other medication for COVID-19. Phase 3 means we saw the opening and expansion of things like youth sports, theaters and museums, gyms and fitness centers, and we expanded the limitations on the number of people that can gather. The data across Massachusetts and in Norwood continues to look good. Our numbers and our percent positive continue to be low. We only see a handful of cases each week within Norwood, and we will continue to watch those numbers as we move and progress through phase 3. And as we open up, we need to make sure everybody is still responsible with those activities to slow the spread, including wearing face coverings, maintaining social distance, and of course practicing good hand hygiene. And if we all do our part, we can continue to reopen our society and do it in a safe way and keep the COVID numbers down.
Thanks, Sigal. Now we'll toss it over to our good friend Brian Dunn with sports.
Hello and welcome into the sports update for this week. My name is Brian Dunn and we continue our coverage of the resurgence of summer sports here in Norwood. This week we check in with Allison Penza, who hosts the annual Field Hockey Youth Clinic up at the high school field. Although it's different this year, with the pandemic, it's a great way for the kids to stay active and breed the next generation of field hockey stars.
So this is our Norwood Youth Field Hockey Summer Clinic. So we've been doing this summer clinic probably for about 10 years now. We are affiliated with Norwood Youth Field Hockey, which has been around for decades. And up until the last 10 years, we've tried to incorporate some other programs during the year. So we do a spring session and we do a summer clinic. So this year, obviously, due to COVID-19, we were very lucky that we were still able to run our camp, but we've had to make some changes due to the guidelines.
What's different this year is that we have to wear masks and we can't do any scrimmages, and if we do defensive drills where we're going face-to-face with other people, we have to wear masks. I'm happy that I got to do it this year because a lot of my other camps were canceled and it was just a lot of fun to play with other people.
I think I've been so impressed with how the kids have been. Obviously this year with the guidelines, we have to social distance, we've had to change some of the drills that we've done. They've all been very okay with wearing their masks, keeping their distance, doing the things that we've had to do. And I think they're actually really excited just to get out and be able to do something. So we've had a great turnout this year. I mean, obviously we only could have so many kids. We've had kids on the wait list. So there's a lot of people who were looking for things for their kids to do. So I'm so happy that we were able to provide them with something.
And also, with Babe Ruth and MIBL baseball underway in Norwood, Norwood Youth Baseball has kicked off its Summer Sandlot League, another great startup for Norwood's youth. Here's Little League Director Mike Kelly with the scoop.
I guess it came about, I would say George Hawley put, the legwork in getting the parameters of the, as far as the COVID, situation. And once, the governor said, we could do it, George had already had the framework out there. So we kind of just took it and piled upon that. And we're just doing our best to follow what George laid out and, let these kids play. We really want the 12-year-olds who would end up missing their season to to get some baseball in.
Feels great.
Feels good. It was a rough couple months without baseball, but it feels good.
Love it. It's just we get to play baseball. It's amazing.
It's fun being in the dugout with your teammates, even though we have to distance a lot. It's fun being able to talk to them and being able to be on the field.
I think it's really good that Norwood Little League put this together. You know, the kids are anxious to get out and play baseball, and great turnout of kids, 6 teams, 15 kids in a team, and everybody's showing up, so it's really great. It's awesome, and the kids are loving it. Everybody's staying distances. We have our masks, we have sanitizer. We're all, you can see the bags are all spread out so they're not together. And Little League's really put together a great safety plan so that we can have this league.
With that being said, no immediate news on the status of the fall sports season as of yet. Stay tuned to the Sports Update for immediate news and reactions when the decision is set to come down in the coming weeks. For now, I'll leave you guys to have a great weekend, and I'll check back in next week. Kristen, back to you.
Welcome back. Big changes may be coming to the Big Y Plaza on Walpole Street. The planning board met with representatives of Cedar Realty, which owns the plaza. Phil Mackey, the council representing Cedar Realty, described the major improvements that would be made to the shopping center.
But basically, as you come in the site, we're proposing a fairly significant change as far as landscaping goes, so that you're not just entering into a sea of pavement. On this particular plan, you can see kind of the red areas that we're removing pavement and adding some green space. And I'm not going to try and tell you that we're turning the parking lot into a park, because that's not the truth, but we are absolutely making this a much better plaza for everybody. And there will be a significant redevelopment of the facade so that basically all of the stores look like you have a new plaza. And we actually believe at the end of this that the plaza will be something that is state-of-the-art. Big Y uses world-class supermarket as their tagline. We think this will be a world-class store in Norwood, off of Walpole Street, and I think that's what the area deserves.
The biggest change will be the complete teardown and rebuild of the Big Y store, as well as some of the smaller storefronts attached to the building to accommodate the new supermarket. Davis Ave neighbor John Cochran had some concerns about the project.
A lot of things have changed since 1963, as Mr. Mackey had mentioned. And part of that is the size of vehicles. I look at these plans now. I was told that the ramp by which the trucks deliver product was not going to change. It's actually 180 degrees from where it is today. So those trucks are going to be directly in my backyard and Mr. Hebner's backyard. So those trucks are going to be basically, Cedar Realty owns the property. However, my whole thing was we were taking care of the property behind the house, mowing it, taking care of all of the annual cleanup, and Cedar Realty was supposed to take care of the trees along the right-of-way entranceway. On page 50 of 125 of one of the plans, I'm not sure exactly which plan it was, it shows parking in that area, which formerly was my backyard. It doesn't say, it was about, 10, 15 spots there. I want to make sure that is 100% off the table. It's bad enough that we have to deal with these trucks all hours of the night. The vacuum trucks that come down come around in the middle of the night, back and forth behind the plaza. There's several operational errors, and they all can be corrected. We just need to make sure that there's some sort of a mechanism put in place by which we can report.
The planning board continued the hearing until their next meeting on August 3rd. The Board of Selectmen went through a number of items during their Tuesday meeting. Items included the signing of the Forbes Hill purchase and sale agreement and a license submission to operate a restaurant as Mustang Pizza. I like the sound of that. Town Manager Tony Mazzucco spent much of the meeting presenting on the organization modernization outline, which highlights how the town's current operational system looks and what measures have been and could be implemented to move the town's operations in a positive direction. Chief Brooks also submitted a memoranda commending his department for stepping up when needed during the storm a few weeks ago, including Officer Brian Cedrone for answering a call involving a drug overdose.
mention Brian Cedrone for the act that he did that probably saved that woman's life with his quick action and, injecting Narcan 3 different times that saved the woman. So, thank you, Brian, for knowing what to do, being obviously trained to do it. And I appreciate all the officers, as mentioned, regarding Deputy Chief Kelly and all the individuals in the letter. So thank you to all the, again, life safety individuals who respond consistently in this.
Thank you, Officer Cedrone and the entire police department for your hard work as always. The Board of Selectmen will meet again on July 28th. The Airport Commission met Wednesday afternoon with a few business items. The board approved a few commercial permits for the FY 2021 year, including Flight Level Norwood and Boston Executive Helicopter, among others. They also went through some Mass DOT change orders and discussed the West Apron, more importantly, its lack of use in quite some time, and what the Commission can do to revitalize that revenue source.
I like John's comments, but I think we can do this on kind of 2 tracks. Russ can reach out to the former tenants there and gauge their interest. I know a lot of them have went to other airports, and at the same time, I like to direct council and Russ and you as the chairman to work on an RFP, and I would suggest that the RFP mirror somewhat the lease offering that was put out there to Boston Executive Helicopter. So that would be my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sheehan. Is there a second on that?
And I'll support that. I second that.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Cochran?
Yes.
And Mr. Ryan votes yes.
The Airport Commission will meet again in the coming weeks. Wednesday night, the Finance Commission met and began their meeting with an appearance from State Representative John Rogers. Representative Rogers gave an update on the state's budget and how it will affect the town of Norwood. Members of the Selectmen and School Committee joined the Finance Commission on this call. Discussion lasted just over an hour, and Representative Rogers fielded many questions from the different board members. Following Representative Rogers' appointment, the board welcomed Chief Brooks for your municipal relief transfer within his department, and Town Manager Tony Mazzucco and Town Accountant Tom McQuaid updated the board on the financial relief from the storm. The next Finance Commission meeting will be in August. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government Channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break for some more town news. Welcome back. With the library closed this summer, Kate Teague and the staff at the library set up a mini pop-up library on Thursdays at each elementary school in town. Kids are able to browse and pick out a few books.
Hi everybody, it's Miss Kate from the library. As you know, I'm not in the library today. I'm actually at the Prescott School. We are running our pop-up kids library this summer at different Norwood public schools on Thursdays from 10 to 1. And as you can see, we've got all kinds of fun books set out for kids to check out. So if you want to come visit us, definitely stop by and say hello and wear your mask and bring your library card, and we can have a really good time and check out some amazing kids books. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Next week, the Rec Department's gym at the Civic Center will be reopening. For more on the rules and what the patrons can expect when they arrive, we go to Travis Farley.
Hi Norwood, Travis Farley here with the Recreation Department at the Civic Center in the weight room. We just wanted to update all the residents on when we're going to be opening up the weight room. We are going to be opening up the weight room on Wednesday the 22nd. The times will be from 7:30 in the morning to 11:30 in the morning. You can sign up for hour blocks of time during that time. We do ask residents to enter and exit in the rear of the Civic. With everyone coming in for programming and registering for programming, we thought it'd be a good thing to keep everybody that is coming from the weight room in the back. So when you do come, please note you're going to be entering in the back. One other thing to note, it is only going to be residents. The sauna is going to be closed and the locker room is going to be closed. So please, 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 if you're coming to work out, We encourage everyone, come ready to work out. We have coat racks and storage areas for coats or sweatshirts or anything like that, but the only thing that's going to be open outside the locker room or outside the weight room will be the bathroom. That's it. We do ask folks to pre-register for blocks of time. So if you are going to come to work out, please call the Civic. If your membership expired, we'll re-up for the time that you missed, or we'll get you a new membership. We are going to limit the weight room to 5 people at a time. So it is very, very important that you pre-register for a block of time. You can show up, but you do run the risk of being denied at the door because we're only allowing 5 people at a time. We are going to have a weight room attendant in the weight room at all times. It's going to be sanitizing the equipment after use. We do ask residents that use the weight room to wipe down equipment as well. That's pretty much it. We hope to see you in the weight room. Any questions, concerns, please call us at the Civic Center, 781-762-0466. We hope you enjoy it. Obviously, there are precautions. If you're feverish or you've had any kind of contact with anybody with COVID, we do ask that you stay home. But when you do use the weight room, you're going to have to use masks and practice social distance when you do. But we hope you enjoy it. We worked hard to open the weight room.
Thanks, Travis, for all the hard work you and your department have been putting in. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.